Aisha only stepped aside for one moment, trusting her friend's shaking voice and desperate eyes that morning. Sirens screamed behind her later, while strangers pointed fingers and her name suddenly sounded like a crime. Promises whispered and friendship turned into chains, as doors slammed and freedom felt frighteningly fragile. In that instant, help became a trap, and silence threatened to swallow her entire future. A listener, if this fire of words already warms your ears, sit closer and follow this tale by subscribing, so wisdom may find you. Aisha was a quiet young woman in her mid-20s with alert eyes, neat braids, and a calm voice, working daily at a small tailoring shop near Yaba bus stop, Lagos. Her closest friend Kemi was louder, always laughing, dressing boldly, and dreaming big, selling phone accessories nearby while sharing secrets, lunches, and jokes with Aisha since their secondary school days. Every morning they greeted traders, generators hummed, buses honked, and life moved fast, yet beneath the noise, Aisha sensed tension in Kemi's smiles, which often arrived late and left too quickly. Aisha trusted rules, order, and honest work, believing patience opens doors, while Kemi chased shortcut stories and risky plans, joking that Nigeria rewards boldness more than careful waiting, sometimes daily. They rented a single-room apartment together, sharing rent, water struggles, evening prayers, and gossip, promising loyalty like sisters, though neighbors often noticed arguments ending with forced laughter at night. Kemi often took phone calls outside, whispering urgently, returning distracted, while Aisha watched quietly, folding fabric, sensing trouble hovering like harmattan dust waiting to enter their shared space soon, silently. Despite unease, daily routines continued, sewing, bargaining, cooking, and laughing, yet the air felt heavy, as if one careless favor could tilt everything they knew into danger without warning tomorrow. On a humid Tuesday morning, Kemi begged for a small help, her voice shaking, eyes pleading, and Aisha nodded, unaware that ordinary kindness was about to invite extraordinary consequences soon. Kemi asked Aisha to hold a small sealed envelope while she met someone briefly, promising quick return, swearing innocence, and urgency tugged at Aisha's heart as street noise faded and doubt whispered softly. Minutes later, uniformed officers surrounded the stall, demanding the envelope, voices sharp, hands firm, as Kemi vanished into crowds, leaving Aisha frozen, explaining confused help that sounded like guilt under suspicion. They questioned her harshly, asking names, intentions, and ownership as passers-by stared, phones raised, whispers spreading, while Aisha's voice shook, repeating she only helped a friend for moments that morning. At the station, lights buzzed, benches cold, officers wrote notes slowly, while Aisha pleaded, calling Kemi name unanswered, feeling walls close in as freedom shrank with each tick of time passing. Fear settled heavy when an officer hinted charges, detention, and court, as Aisha remembered warnings about favors in Lagos, her chest tight, imagining years lost over kindness and broken dreams. She asked to call her friend, but permission delayed, voices muffled, corridors long, while thoughts raced, wondering if loyalty demanded silence or truth demanded courage now in this frightening place. Outside, evening rain fell, traffic snarled, and Aisha's mother waited unaware as paperwork piled higher, sealing fate, while Kemi's phone stayed off, deepening betrayal that echoed through Aisha's trembling thoughts endlessly. By nightfall, Aisha realized the moment help turned into accusation, marking the beginning of a fight she never chose yet must survive within a system that rarely forgives the naive. Detention began with sleepless hours on a wooden bench, mosquitoes whining as officers mocked her story, calling it common excuse, while paperwork moved slowly like punishment measured in deliberate delays. Aisha met other detainees sharing whispered fears and cold rice meals, learning quickly how innocence often sounded weak against authority that preferred quick confessions and convenient scapegoats in crowded cells. An officer hinted freedom could be negotiated, his smile thin, suggesting money, favors, or names, as Aisha refused, trembling, choosing dignity, though fear screamed that pride might cost everything precious. Her tailoring shop closed, fabric orders lost, landlord complained, and neighbors gossiped loudly, painting Aisha as criminal, while her mother arrived crying, clutching prayers, helpless before uniformed power. Kemi remained unreachable. Days stretched heavy. Each sunrise bringing interrogation where officers twisted words asking why friendship mattered more than law, pressing until headaches throbbed behind Aisha's eyes. A junior officer quietly advised compliance, saying systems crush resistance and friends disappear when trouble comes, his warning cutting deeper because truth tasted bitter and familiar in Nigeria's streets. Court mention loomed with rumors of remand, prison transport, and overcrowded cells as Aisha imagined chains, gates, and lost years over an envelope she never opened once. Still, she held on to truth, repeating her stories softly at night, praying justice listened somewhere beyond concrete walls and tired uniforms, waiting patiently for a chance to breathe again. Days blurred as Aisha faced court queues, bail whispers, and hostile glances, while anxiety tightened her chest and hope flickered whenever her mother squeezed her hands, promising prayers would work somehow. Kemi finally called, crying, claiming she was trapped by dangerous men, begging patience and secrecy, saying exposure would worsen things, as Aisha listened, torn between loyalty, survival, and the truth that burned her tongue. Legal aid volunteers offered thin guidance, urging cooperation, documents, and faith, explaining how cases move slowly and favors decide outcomes, leaving Aisha overwhelmed by jargon, delays, and the fragile line between accused and forgotten. Rumors spread that the envelope held stolen cards and links to fraud rings, making Aisha's stomach twist as officers treated her colder, tightening supervision and warning that friendship with criminals stains everyone nearby. At night, she argued with herself, recalling shared meals, laughter, tears, asking whether exposing Kemi would save her or destroy them both, while the city outside hummed indifferent to her moral storm. A chance bail hearing arrived with impossible conditions as relatives pulled money, sold possessions, and pleaded favors, revealing how freedom had a price tag and kindness demanded sacrifices Aisha never imagined paying. During a visit, Kemi sent a message urging silence, again promising rescue soon, yet offering no details, causing Aisha's trust to crack as fear sharpened into resolve and patience thinned dangerously. Aisha felt pressure mount from every side: law, family, friendship, and time. Realizing rising tension demanded a choice that could either bury her or light the path toward survival alone. The night before remand, Aisha sat alone, cell lights flickering, listening to distant cries as fear settled deep, imagining prison gates closing and life reduced to numbers, uniforms, and endless waiting without hope. Her mother visit brought tears and trembling prayers, pressing a small Bible into her hands, whispering courage, while Aisha struggled not to collapse under guilt for dragging family into shame. Officers returned, demanding a statement, offering protection if she revealed everything, yet threatening harsher consequences if she delayed, as Aisha felt trapped between betraying a friend and losing herself completely. Sleep refused to come, memories replayed, laughter, secrets, shared beds, and dreams, until betrayal tasted real and sharp, forcing Aisha to accept that friendship had already failed her when silence replaced loyalty. In the cell, a woman warned her that kindness without wisdom feeds predators, her words heavy with scars, making Aisha heartache, realizing lessons often arrive when damage is already done. Court sounds echoed in her mind, gavel strikes, murmurs, and judgment as she pictured headlines, neighbors' whispers, and years erased, leaving only regret for a moment of help freely given. Alone, she whispered a prayer, not for miracles but clarity, asking for courage to choose truth, even if it shattered bonds she once treasured dearly. As dawn approached, Aisha sensed something shifting within her, fear slowly transforming into resolve, hinting that the lowest night often precedes an unexpected turning of fate. At morning court, Aisha requested to speak fully, her voice steady, surprising even herself as she explained every detail: names, locations, calls, and how the envelope reached her hands briefly. The magistrate listened closely, ordering investigation into Kemi transactions as officers exchanged looks, realizing gaps in the case, while Aisha felt fear loosen slightly, replaced by cautious hope. Later, a familiar voice echoed in the corridor as Kemi appeared, escorted, eyes hollow, courage gone, confronted by evidence, messages, and witnesses that traced everything back to her desperate choices. Kemi broke down, confessing she used Aisha's trust to hide stolen cards, fearing threats from fraud partners and believing silence would protect them both, though it only destroyed one innocent life. The truth shifted momentum. Officers treated Aisha differently, offering water chairs and apologies awkward, but real, while her name slowly cleared inside files and whispered conversations. Investigators uncovered records proving Aisha's absence from planning payment or benefit, showing she never opened the envelope and acted without knowledge or gain. Kemi wept, begging forgiveness through the bars as Aisha listened, heart-heavy, realizing forgiveness and trust are not twins and sometimes must walk separate paths. In that moment, truth became Aisha's strength, lifting her from despair toward justice, proving that courage spoken aloud can break even the tightest chains. The courtroom felt charged as prosecutors confronted Kemi, with records' voices rising while spectators leaned forward, sensing truth finally battling deception under bright lights and watchful eyes. Kemi tried excuses, blaming fear, poverty, and pressure, but evidence spoke louder. Phone logs, transfers, and testimonies closing every escape as her shoulders sagged beneath undeniable reality. Aisha watched silently, hands clasped, heart racing, as lawyers questioned her gently, contrasting honesty with manipulation, drawing clear lines between momentary help and criminal intent before the court. When asked directly, Aisha spoke calmly, stating she chose truth over loyalty because silence nearly stole her freedom, her words cutting through the room heavy with lived pain. The magistrate warned sternly about abusing trust and exploiting friendship, emphasizing how small actions can destroy innocent lives when mixed with greed and cowardice. Kemi reached out, crying apology as searching for mercy, but guards pulled her back as consequences settled firmly around her trembling form. The ruling echoed, granting Aisha full discharge, applause muted but meaningful as relief washed over her knees, weak breath shaking and tears finally falling freely. Justice stood visible that day, not loud or perfect, but present, reminding everyone that courage and truth can confront darkness and survive. Outside the courthouse, sunlight felt different, warmer, gentler, as Aisha breathed freely again, hugging her mother tightly, while whispers turned to nods and sympathy, replacing suspicion on familiar faces nearby. News spread quickly through the neighborhood, correcting rumors as traders apologized quietly and customers returned, offering support, reminding Aisha how truth eventually travels, though slower than lies initially. Authorities released statements clearing her name, returning seized belongings, and offering transport home, gestures small yet meaningful after days of cold benches, fear and humiliation endured silently. Kemi received sentencing, facing consequences that matched her actions as Aisha felt sadness, not joy, understanding justice is not revenge but balance, restoring order where harm once reigned. Friends visited, bringing food, laughter, and tears, acknowledging mistakes and lessons learned, while Aisha listened, grateful yet guarded, knowing trust once broken must be rebuilt carefully. Her tailoring shop reopened with new signboards and steady orders, symbolizing fresh beginnings as fabric scissors hummed again, stitching hope into daily routines once disrupted. Though free, Aisha carried scars, choosing wisdom over blind kindness, setting boundaries and teaching younger ones about caution in a world where desperation can weaponize friendship. That chapter closed firmly, not erased, but transformed into strength, proving justice may delay yet arrives when truth stands patiently without fear. Months later, Aisha walked confidently through Yaba streets, greeting familiar faces, her steps lighter yet mindful, carrying lessons stitched quietly into her heart by experience and survival. She volunteered evenings, speaking to young women about boundaries, trust, and courage, using her story gently, not to scare, but to prepare them for difficult choices ahead. Her friendship circle changed, smaller but honest, filled with people who respected truth and responsibility, understanding that loyalty without integrity can become a dangerous trap. Sometimes Aisha remembered Kemi with sadness, praying she would heal and learn, knowing forgiveness frees the heart, but wisdom guards the future. Life returned to normal rhythms, sewing, laughter, church songs, and shared meals, yet Aisha's kindness now came paired with discernment, like eyes open even while heart remains warm. The city continued bustling, teaching daily lessons about pressure, shortcuts, and consequences as Aisha navigated it wiser, standing firm against manipulation disguised as friendship. When asked about that dark time, she smiled softly, saying help is good, but blind help is risky, urging listeners to ask questions and protect their freedom always.